I feel like people who go to college, um, and like pursue like higher degrees are people who are on like they're not self-motivated. They have to be in a structured system to succeed. Like I'm calling myself out because I can't like independently like what's the word? Like go on YouTube and learn something. I have to have someone be like, you have to do this assignment to do this, this and that, and to learn something. So that's why I went to college and then got my master's about because that structure is kind of like forced upon me a bit, right? And I think people who can do it by themselves without it being told that there's a system in place are smarter in the sense of like self-motivation. But the people who need structure, I think that's again, I think people that go to college and do that type of stuff are the people who, you know, lack self motivation.
Do you think?
Which
Damn,
is
this conversation got deep real fast. But do you think there's a link between people who do that because of the structure and people who go to church? Who cling on to religion because they're used to the structure and
because
feeling something of a higher meaning in their life, and
for me,
they
like,
might not have it without that structure.
Yeah, because I mean, for me, I go to church as well too, and I think the reason why I do it is because the fear of not doing it is like not having a structure. Like when I was not going to church, I always thought about like, what would happen after death, right? I always had that like internal thought, and then now since I've gone to the church, I don't have that internal thought. I don't care anymore because I know I'm gonna be okay. You know what I mean? Like it's that ignorance that I know like there's a heaven, right? Obviously, you know, again, my belief, but when I didn't go to church, I always feared like, oh, am I doing the wrong thing? Where am I gonna go? It's just blackness. Is it nothing? Or what if this religion's right? Now that I go to church, I know I'm right in the sense of belief. That makes sense.
No, yeah, and you're not wrong. It like totally gives people a sense of safety and direction, and some people, and I think that's related to the college thing and structure and all that, they need a sense of structure provided to them in order to live their life, and that's not a bad thing. Everybody lives their life in a different way. Some people, like you said, are self-starters, self-motivators, and others, they need a little bit of gas to get going, and that's fine. But I'm wondering if there's some sort of like psychology behind that, to where like the structure thing is, you know, people are more prone to be religious or something, or go into these like programs that are more, I don't know, I guess natural in everyday life. You know, you're told that going to college is like, that's what you're supposed to do, right? And up until recently, going to church is what you were supposed to do. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a system. Like, for example, like, you know, when you can really blame the system for producing people like this, because like when you go to school, you go to pre-K, you go to preschool, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, then you go to middle school, then you go to high school, then you're expected to go to college, structure, and then you go to college, and then after that, okay, be a free-thinking adult. Okay, but the whole time you've been told to do this at this time, go to the bus at this time, have lunch at this time, go to geometry at this time. Oh, by the way, now you can just do whatever you want. How do I do whatever I want? I don't know how to do that. You didn't teach me that. You fucking taught me how to fucking figure out the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. You didn't teach me how to fucking plan my own schedule. You taught me how to be a fucking robot with my schedule. Which, for me, I love that shit, because again, I'm a product of the machine, where I love being, like, scheduling out shit is, like, my plan, but I can't be the one making the schedule, because I fall through it all the time, because I can disappoint myself. I don't need if I disappoint myself, who cares? You know, like, I'm not gonna get myself in trouble, but if I disappoint, like...
Enlightening.
Okay, if I don't do my classes and don't learn this shit, then I fail not only myself, but I also fail my parents because they're helping me pay for this. Well, there's an ultimatum. or I failed the teachers, I failed the print, I failed this and that, and that's not myself. So
Yeah, and that's the thing. It isn't all on yourself in those scenarios.
mhm.
And Cynthia raised a good point. He said he feels he does need that structure in his life, but he could give a care about church. He doesn't go to church or anything, I
Yeah,
don't
it's
think.
not for everyone,
Uh,
and too, like,
so he doesn't think there's necessarily a link between those things, but
I guess I
it'd be
would say it's more
interesting to see.
probable.
Yeah, it could be, but I definitely feel, and I don't know, maybe I just ended up going towards more religion for some reason, but it feels like people like that
Religion's very
need
organized.
structure in their life, and yeah, it is organized. You're right, so it makes sense.
That's why, like, you see all these like if you think about like a typical like especially back in the 90s and early 2000s, like the typical stay-at-home mom, they would always be in part of these book clubs and part of these like baking clubs and like all part of these clubs with other mothers because they had no structure. They wanted to be a part of something like a book club. Like they have some sort of power inside that book club. So it's that sense of like being part of a system. Like read this book, and then this book. Then next week we'll talk about said book. That's the schedule. And if you don't read the book, not only are you disappointing yourself, but the other people in the group because they read the book and you did not.
Yeah, and
That's why people always try to conform to like things, like to systems. That's why cults exist, unfortunately, because people always have the tendency is just following someone because they need a sense of directions. A lot of people are followers, and you know, I've never been a leader. I've always been a follower, which is fine for me
yeah,
because
that's fine because not everybody can be a leader, right?
Yeah,
Everybody, you need to have leaders and followers in order to.
yeah.
If everybody was a leader, everybody
The
was a
majority of
follower, it
people
just
are
wouldn't work.
followers. Yeah.
And then to add to that, Cynthia was kind of saying, and I agree with him a bit. It could be social programming,
Yeah.
which that's definitely, I think, the case with a lot of that. And religion provides easy answers, some easy answers on the complexity and scary unknowns in life. And he's trying to say that without judgment, which I agree. It, in that sense, it does definitely provide some easier answers for people, and that's one of the things Cynthia and Fool and everybody else in this chat. I know we've been leaving you out of it. We've been talking about this, but I think people with religion, they just really want to know that why they're living their life. They
Why are
have
we here?
something to look forward for after they're gone from this world, and religion gives them those answers. Whether it's right or wrong, they end up believing it is because they're in the group of people that all believe the same things. And some people do need that structure in order to their lives.
Exactly. Like when I was like when I left the church, the reason why I left the church, so I was raised in a Catholic family, not like super Catholic, but they put me in Catholic school in Indiana because the public schools were trash, and plus we were Catholics, so they're like, oh, we just put them in Catholic school. But I got my confirmation and communion and whatever the fuck it is, right, in the church. And then in middle school and high school, I was going to church, but then I left the church because the time that at that time in the early 2000s, unfortunately, the church was not progressive enough, and at that point they were very anti-gay, which some churches are, unfortunately, but thankfully the churches now, especially Catholicism, is really progressive in the sense of actually being more accepting. I think it's more of like a my church at least is more accepting. But anyway, I left the church because of that. And then, but at the time between when I left the church and I didn't believe in God, because I think I blamed God at that point to like for that downfall of like why people are like that. And but I accidentally mistook man having flaws and applying the whole like why would God hate them, like, so I was like whatever. I left the church, and then between that time of leaving the church and rediscovering the church, I really fell into this nihilistic sense of way of meaning of just like, well, what is the point of living? Like, what's the point of like doing anything? We're just here to reproduce as a society. Humans are meant to just breed and then die just to keep it like the society going. There's no meaning to all of it, like I'm still a
Yeah,
happy
and
person, but like my overlook of like when I died, I was like, oh, it's gonna be fucking nothing. And then when I rediscovered the church, I kind of those thoughts drifted away, and I replaced it more with like, we're all chilling. We all have a purpose. Some people might die young, but their purpose was, fulfilled in some certain way, in some weird weird crazy way, whatever it may be.
yeah.
We don't know because we will never know. But it gave me enough like reason to just like kind of keep going. I know this is a heavy conversation, but whatever.
Oh, we always have the heavy conversations here.
We're
Fucking
playing Minecraft at 12:30
things
at
got
night,
so
we're
heavy
having
we
a
made
good time.
Tim leave. No, but I'm
Yeah.
joking. He probably fucking fell asleep. Honestly, it's 12:30 over there.